Today, we're going to dive into AgentGPT. Look, if you've ever been curious about autonomous AI, but then you hit this wall of code and complexity, this is for you. We're going to see how it's designed to be the absolute simplest way to start commanding your own AI agents.
So let's be real. Have you ever imagined having your own AI assistant or, a whole team of them that you could just give a goal to and then just sit back and watch it figure everything out? It's an awesome idea, right? Feels like something straight out of the future. But then, boom, reality hits. You start looking into how to do it, and you're immediately buried in command lines, complicated installations, API key setups, and suddenly that exciting future feels like it's locked behind this huge technical wall. It's a super common frustration that honestly stops most people in their tracks.
And this right here, this is the core problem that a tool like AgentGPT was built to solve. We can call it the hard way of using AI agents, which until pretty recently was really the only way. For most of these AI agent frameworks, you're not just using a tool. You're basically an engineer building an entire system from scratch. We're talking endless installations, confusing setup steps, and juggling all these different configurations. It's incredibly powerful for sure if you have the skills, but it's definitely not for everyone. So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, this is where a completely different approach comes into the picture. Let's talk about AgentGPT. Okay, so what is it? AgentGPT is a platform for creating these autonomous agents that works entirely in your web browser. And that last part is the real game changer. No installation needed. You just go to a website and you can get started like right now. Here's the easiest way to think about the difference. Most AI frameworks are like heavy-duty software you've got to download, install, and configure. It takes time, it takes technical effort. AgentGPT? It's like a web app you already use every day. Think Google Docs. You just open a new tab, and it just works. Zero friction.
And this quote really hits the nail on the head. The goal here isn't to be the most powerful or the most complicated tool out there. It's all about being the most accessible. It's about taking this super advanced technology and just opening the front door so anyone who's curious can walk right in. So, we know it's easy to get to, but what's actually happening under the hood? I mean, how does an agent on this platform actually think and get things done? Let's break down its process. It all boils down to this really simple 3-step loop. First, you give it a goal. That's your one big job. Second, the agent takes that goal and, on its own, breaks it down into a list of smaller, bite-sized tasks. And finally, it just starts executing that list, one task at a time, completely on its own. And here's the really cool part, especially if you're trying to learn. This isn't some black box. You actually get to watch the whole thing happen in real time. You can see the agent's thought process as it creates a new task, finishes it, and moves to the next one. It's an amazing way to really understand how these systems operate. So let's make this super concrete. Imagine you give it the goal, research and summarize quantum computing. Instantly, the agent would create a plan, right? Something like define the term, find its core principles, look up applications. Then it just goes. It starts running web searches, reading the content it finds, and finally, it pulls it all together into that summary you asked for. Okay, so it's accessible and we get how it works. But the big question is, when should you actually use it? What is it good for? And maybe even more importantly, what is it not good for? So who is this really built for? Well, it's perfect for you if you're just curious about AI, or if you're a non-technical person who wants to learn by actually doing. It's also fantastic for experimenters testing out a quick idea, or for educators who need a super simple way to show these concepts in action without a single line of code. Now, it's really important to be clear about what AgentGPT is perfect for and what it isn't. It is an amazing sandbox for quick experiments and learning, but it is not the tool you'd want to use for a serious business application, something that needs deep customization or anything involving private data. Its strength is being easy to get into, not being an enterprise-level powerhouse. And hey, if you play around with it and find yourself needing more power or more control, that's when you graduate to the more advanced frameworks. Tools like Crew AI or AutoGen, those are built for the serious, customizable production-level stuff. Think of AgentGPT as the perfect first step, but not necessarily the final destination. So, with all that in mind, let's talk about getting you started. How do you launch your very first AI mission with this thing? And this is the best part. The process is almost laughably simple.
You go to the website, you sign in, you type your goal into a little box, and you hit deploy. That's it. That is literally it. You are now running an autonomous AI agent. 0. Let that number sink in. That's how many installations you need, how many lines of code you have to write, how many tricky configurations you have to deal with. That single number is the most important idea behind this entire platform. So, what's the one big takeaway here? It's that Agent GPT is all about one thing: accessibility. It's not trying to be the most powerful tool on the block. It's just trying to be that open door, the fastest, easiest way for you to get your hands dirty and finally understand what this whole autonomous AI thing is all about. So, that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? The technical barriers have been totally removed. You can deploy an autonomous AI agent in seconds. The only question left is, what problem are you going to solve first?